Good afternoon and good morning to those in the West. Thank you for joining us for this special webinar by CDW, Kinetic GPO, and HP. My name is Jen Trock. I'm a Business Development Manager at CDW, and I want to thank our speakers for joining us today. Gerald Ford, Program Director at Kinetic GPO, and Melia Luis, HP Canada Education Solutions Lead. Very shortly, I'll be turning it over to Jerry and Melia to share more about their organizations and how they're positively contributing to public sector nationally. Briefly, I want to call out how our three organizations have partnered. In late 2017, after an open, fair, and transparent competitive process, Kinetic GPO, a national group procurement organization, awarded CDW an agreement or standing offer for information technology equipment and hardware products. The agreement features the full portfolio from CDW, and HP is a featured partner within the agreement. That means HP has committed incremental discounts to all Kinetic GPO members through CDW. Further, HP is doing some great work to advance modern classroom and modern learning strategies, and that's why we're so pleased to have Melia Luis here with us today to speak to those solutions and programs. They're truly differentiated in the market. First, I'll turn it over to Jerry from Kinetic GPO to speak to their organization and the value and savings they're offering the public sector. There will be an opportunity to ask questions throughout the webinar using the dialog box in the WebEx. We will save responses to questions until the end of the webinar. If for some reason you need to drop off the webinar earlier, we are recording and will distribute the link to access the webinar. Without further ado, turning it to you, Jerry.
Well, thank you very much, Jen, and appreciate everybody taking time out of their busy schedule to find out a little bit more about this partnership that we have with Kinetic, CDW, and HP, and I'm very excited to be participating in this call. What I'm going to be doing is going over a little bit about our team because it makes a big difference on who's involved in helping with the process. We'll talk a little bit about Kinetic process, and then finally we'll talk about why use Kinetic in the first place. Next. So we're made up of a number of professionals, and I won't go through everything on this particular slide. I'll just point out a few that I think I want to focus in on. So I am the Director of Supplier Development. I've been in supply chain now since the early 80s, both in the public and private sector. And my job is to turn around and figure out where the pain points are and the gaps are in the marketplace so that I can make a public sector agency's life an awful lot easier. As far as Kinetic is concerned, we are a national organization. We've had our roots from the United States, and we've taken the policies, practices, procedures that are needed in Canada while following all the various agreements and trade obligations, including the Canadian Free Trade Agreement and the Canadian European Trade Agreement. And so we are doing a competitive, easy-to-use contracts across a broad sector of commodities and categories that are going to save organizations time and money. Next. So the big thing for us is all about compliance. So what we've done is we've made sure that our contracts are competitively bid, they're evaluated using the same tools that everybody else is using, and we are awarding using a compliant process, which means that we do advertise on Bid and Go, Bonfire, and Mercs. We also make sure that any supplier that might be interested is aware that the opportunity is in the marketplace so they can have a chance to review and bid. We do our evaluations using a program called Bonfire, and I believe a lot of the members of the audience are aware of that. And all our contracts are set up in such a way is that the language says that it's available for public agencies across Canada. And then what we do is we do the award letter, and then it's available. So we actually publish the award letters on our website. Next. So from Kinetic's perspective, we are concentrating on the various aspects of the public sector, municipalities, school boards, hospitals, academia. So what we're looking for specifically is to help individuals within these organizations be able to reduce their workload. So next. So why use Kinetic? Well, we are an organization made up of a number of individuals with over 100 plus years of experience in cooperative and group purchasing. We are the one-stop to be able to provide guidance and assistance to organizations that are required, and we're always looking for feedback from our members and future members on what else we could do for them. We are very into marketing and resourcing and education and putting on workshops and seminars to both educate and to assist individuals in gaining the knowledge that they require in order to do their job better and more efficiently. Next. So one of the reasons why I think GPOs are important, and I've been using them forever since I was at the City of Cambridge in the late 80s, is that if and when you do use them, they are going to be able to save you time. It allows you to be able to be a little bit more better at your contract administration, improve your competencies because you're basically leveraging the experience that we have here. I always stress that we help reduce your cost of acquisition, and with our national contracts, you should be confident that the agreement that you sign with us is the best that you can find out in the marketplace. Usually what happens is that most organizations I'm aware of have a limited staff, and what this allows you to do is to be able to maximize the use of your staff by reducing the amount of administrative challenges or burden that you might have. And we also encourage the networking between our suppliers and our agencies so that they all can take advantage of best practices. Next. So I put this together, this slide, because I think it bears to, as a reminder, is that in this day and age, it's taking longer to put together the RFPs. You have to talk to an awful lot of people. It's got to be at the market for a number of days. And for us, we go for 45 days, which gives everybody an opportunity of seeing and being able to participate. So when we did our calculations, we could actually improve your efficiencies by 28%, which means that that individual can then go out and work on another project that needs the time and effort and then leave the contracts that we manage to us, and you have time to do your thing. Again, what we stress is compliance, compliance, compliance. We make sure that we follow, and if anybody has any questions, either at the end or at any other time, feel free to reach out. And what we'll do is we'll go over what we do and how we do it so that you have a comfort level, and when you sign with Kinetic, you're doing exactly what needs to be done. Next. So hopefully what I've done is I've given you a little bit of an overview of Kinetic. You'll see an awful lot of marketing material that's going to be distributed over the next little while. And we do participate on these webinars on a number of occasions. So feel free to reach out. My contact information is at the end of this particular slide. And my colleague, Michelle McCarthy, is also available should you require any assistance. Once again, on behalf of Kinetic, thank you very much for the opportunity of giving you a little bit of a glimpse of what Kinetic is all about, and look forward to hearing the presentation from HP.
Thank you, Jerry. And we do encourage everyone attending the webinar to submit questions, and again, we will address them at the end of the webinar. And from here, we will turn it to Melia Luis from the HP team.
Thank you, Jen. So as Jen just said, my name is Melia Luis. I look after the education segment at HP Canada. I've been at HP for 19 years in various roles, and I've been focused on education for about the last 3 years now. This is by far my favorite position that I've held at HP. In my role, I get the amazing opportunity to not only work with my counterparts all over the world who specialize in education, but I also get the privilege of working with school districts and boards, higher education institutions, and some really talented educators here in Canada. I get to work with students as well who continuously amaze me and are really the reason we all do what we do in education. Together with key partners such as CDW, HP not only focuses on ensuring we're providing the best products and solutions for education, but that we're driving innovation in the use of technology to really improve learning outcomes. So I was invited by CDW and Kinetic GPO to speak with all of you here today about HP's education strategy and offering. I'll speak to HP's approach in K-12, specifically to the HP Learning Studios solution. I'll also touch on higher education and a couple of projects we're working on with customers, just to give you a view to how we not only provide technology to our partners and customers, but truly partner to innovate together in this age of really exponential growth and possibility that tech provides us. So at HP, we want to help educators move from a content-centric industrialized learning model where we expect students to memorize and regurgitate to one where we create adaptive, flexible problem solvers. Student-centered learning, of course, centers on students, not teachers or textbooks. It adapts to learning styles and abilities and interests of each individual student. It increases their understanding and knowledge of the world through experiencing things hands-on and reflecting on those experiences. Many subscribe to this approach, but implementation can be quite challenging, especially when wanting to scale at a board or a district level. I'll speak later to the HP Learning Studio, which really can help with this. First, I'll provide a brief overview to HP's strategy in education and what we call the classroom of the future. The classroom of the future needs to provide students with opportunities to learn in a way that's relevant, hands-on, as I mentioned, and meaningful to them in order to truly get their engagement. Teachers need to instruct in a way that's differentiated for the students in the way they learn. Teachers also need training balanced with support that helps them save precious time. Classrooms should be student-led, where they're learning how to learn, whether they realize it or not, really, where they're creating and finding solutions as well as immersing themselves in what they're learning and making, immersing themselves both physically and digitally while taking advantage of what technology has to offer. And the positive outcomes of what takes place in the classroom are really not just about learning itself, but also have a huge economic and social impact. Students really are the agents of change. This is a busy page, and I'm not going to go through all of it, but just wanted to show the key areas of focus that we invest in terms of research and programs at HP. HP invests a tremendous amount of education-focused R&D, but we find that this is critical so that we ensure that we're maximizing the opportunity to drive meaningful outcomes. We take corporate social responsibility and sustainable to heart and ensure that we embed this in all that we do, including all our education programs. So I absolutely love education, as you can tell, and I have to say that the Learning Studio program is something I'm quite proud of being a part of. About 2 years ago, HP, in partnership with Digital Promise Global and Microsoft, launched a pilot with 60 learning studios in classrooms around the world. These are classrooms or creative collaborative spaces which really focus on design-centered experiential learning, in essence, what we call project-based learning. This pilot actually started off as a research project, but it was so successful that it's now an offering available to schools and districts who are interested. So what is a learning studio? A learning studio is a place where learners define problems they want to solve and design solutions to address them. These are real-world problems that are meaningful to the students. They're not just something that the teacher tells them that they have to look up or research. It's something really meaningful to the student. Leveraging technology, students engage in activities and projects that expose them to a variety of skills and strategies, such as design thinking, engineering, and digital communication. The Learning Studio can be located in a classroom, can be in a learning commons or library within a school, or a collaborative space in the school. You see them in grade 1 all the way to grade 12. We are even seeing them actually in local libraries, expanding the reach into the communities. We're now probably close to 100 classrooms worldwide, with 12 right here in Canada from coast to coast. What's also special about the HP Learning Studio is that we tweak it according to the objectives of the board and school so that each iteration of the Learning Studio is unique to driving the outcomes that the district, the school, and the teachers are really looking for. The base HP Learning Studio features a Sprout Pro by HP and includes a capture stage, a 3D printer, a charging cart, and 10 mobile devices to start. As I mentioned, the offering, including the technology, is always tailored to align better to the needs of the board, the school, or the educator. As you can already tell, the technology is only one component of the Learning Studio, and we work with various different partners, both for the devices as well as the software and educator support services. The program provides really robust support and training that are critical to the Learning Studio. Digital Promise Global is a non-for-profit entity who's directing this global network of learning studios designed for project-based learning. The Digital Promise Global online community really provides access to teachers and administrators with web-based training opportunities and a wealth of teacher guides, lesson plans, and learning activities. They provide many opportunities for guidance, for challenges, and interactions between the learning studios. So you do even have a learning studio out in Vancouver interacting and working on projects or even competing against, so sometimes collaboratively, sometimes in competition, with a learning studio out in Australia. So we do promote interactions to give these students more of a global perspective. From a Canadian perspective, we have also enhanced the program by introducing a Canadian professional development company to help train the teachers with the use of the technology in the class and the program itself, and that's Fair Chance Learning. They work closely with Digital Promise, and Fair Chance Learning provides on-site and remote training for these studios end-to-end. I brought them in Canada not only because of the great work they do, but because they really get it. They get the local curriculum, we're aligned on our strategic thinking of success in the modern world, and they're able to make critical connections when working with educators in the learning studios. Not all teachers have the same needs when it comes to their comfort level with technology and with a project-based or inquiry-based approach, and that's where Fair Chance Learning can help them with all of this. With the initial training and an ongoing support, teachers really never alone. Sometimes you have teachers go into professional development session and they think, wow, that was great. They go to work on implementing this in their classroom and they have tons of questions. It's not as easy as it may seem on that one day. With the Learning Studio, they get perpetual support whenever they need it, so this is never an issue. They also have a community with other educators that they can really tap into, both locally in Canada, in sometimes the same province, and even internationally. The HP Learning Studio is a turnkey solution that can be implemented as a launchpad or can complement the initiatives that schools and districts have in place already. Sorry, I was taking a sip there, talking a little much. I'll describe the HP Sprout Pro in a little bit more detail in order to provide context as to how this machine is used in the Learning Studios. There are other devices, as I mentioned, in the Learning Studio, but this one is quite unique, so I want to take a little bit of time to take you through it. The Sprout Pro is a Windows 10 immersive all-in-one computer designed to enhance project-based learning, promote collaborative engagement, and spark creativity. It accommodates diverse learning styles and really exposes students to the next generation of real-world technology experiences that prepares them for the future. So I'm going to go through some of the features of the Sprout Pro by HP. First of all, it has two large touch monitors, as you can see there, one of which is the interactive mat at the bottom. It's like a high-end Wacom board for those who are familiar with it. It's got a 2D scanner in high resolution. It's got a 3D scanner and projector. It actually has two types of 3D scanning, one that's mainstream, that most students will be just using this mainstream and super easy one, and another one that's meant for higher end applications. But for the mainstream scanning, you can actually hold an object in your hands and scan it while you're rotating it in the air. The scan picks up the object, but doesn't pick up your hands. Again, it's got like a multitude of different features, the Sprout, but digital inking with an HP Active Pen. It's got a webcam and a downward-facing camera. These are only, again, some of the features, but it's very much an interactive machine that will help you capture real-world objects, digitize them, manipulate them, and then use them, whether it be digitally or by printing them again to a 3D printer. Also, as I mentioned, it's a Windows 10 machine, so it can run any Windows 10 software applications, including all the cool inking apps that are now available. And really, 3D has been incorporated in almost everything we do now. You can have it even in apps that we use every day, such as PowerPoint, Word, Outlook, and it's going to be more prevalent as we go along. We'll have 3D everywhere. Wanted to mention, when you write on the mat, it feels like you're writing on paper. When you use the pencils or brushes for art in a variety of different softwares like Paint 3D that are free of charge, it's like it actually feels realistic. My daughter's an art student, absolutely loves to sketch using the Sprout because it's so realistic, at the same time really efficient for her. She uses the mat and her drawings in the mat as part of her digital portfolio. She says she wished the Sprout was around when she was a kid. She's 17, so it's all relative. But she also says that when I take the Sprout out, because obviously I use it as part of my role at HP, she's saying, where did you take the Sprout to? Our Sprout to, because I need it for my homework. So it just allows the possibilities. My son says the same thing. He's in grade 8. And when they use the Sprout, they get so much more engaged in what they do. I often say my kids are my guinea pigs, and you can really see that the amount of engagement they get in their projects, so much more for whatever subject matter that they may be using, because they can do so much more with the phygital, blending the physical and the digital. So this is just to give you an idea. One other thing I did want to mention that the Sprout Pro does, you're able to actually share either in person or externally 4 different screens or snapshots. You can share the top monitor, the interactive mat, the downward facing camera, and the webcam with a variety of different softwares you may use to collaborate with others on the web. So really, really cool all around. I just even touched the surface, but invite you to take a look, and what I could do is also provide the CDW team here some snippets of videos that you can really get a taste for the Sprout. Another thing we can do, and I just thought of this, was if anyone is interested in trying out the Sprout, then touch base with your CDW account rep, because we can get you a demo unit that you can try out, or have others in your institution or educators or whoever may want to get their hands on it to try out. Okay, so now is normally when I would show you a really cool video on the Learning Studios. Does an amazing job of showing what happens in an actual studio, and so shows students and teachers in action. So showing the video through the webinar is not ideal for various reasons, so the CDW team will provide the links, and you can see this particular video and get more information after the webinar. So please keep an eye out for the Canadian Learning Studio in Niagara Falls that's actually featured on this video as well. It takes you through the 6 original pilot learning studios that I mentioned originally, and it takes them through their first Design Center challenge that they had to participate. They had to choose one of the Sustainable Development Goals, one of the 17, and then identify a global problem and figure out a local solution. In this, the Niagara Falls classroom are grade 3 students, and they go all the way to grade 12 in these. So I didn't pull out any other kind of examples, but just quickly, this is on the video. It shows some grade 12 students actually designing a prosthetic hand for a child. So one that the child themselves, who's in need of a prosthetic hand, can actually customize and print out themselves. Check it out on the video. They used all the technology that we had provided them, and including the Sprout, including the 3D printer, and put this all together themselves. Quite impressive. So now I'll take you through a challenge with an example from one of our Canadian Learning Studios that just happened. I think it was in the last year or so, probably earlier this year. The Learning Studio Design for All challenge from it was last fall. I correct myself. They were asking the classes around the world, and this was Digital Promise, how they might design or redesign facets of everyday life to be more equitable, inclusive, and accessible for those in their community. This challenge really promoted inclusive design. So imagine when these students are interviewing or observing the people that they're designing for, they're building empathy as part of this process, even though they don't really realize it. So they have to ask questions like, who are we designing for? What's their situation? What do they need to do differently? And what can we do to help them with their situation? Then they use technology and other tools at their disposal to come up with a solution. In the HP Learning Studio in Ottawa, students were taken to a senior's home to help design something that would make the life of these seniors better. They're actually, I should actually say, they're in grade 6. They had to focus on accessibility. The problem in this case was that some of the seniors had trouble holding utensils. So after interviewing the seniors, the students developed prototypes and potential products that could solve these seniors' issues. They designed prototypes using the Sprout and the laptops, and then 3D printed these. They also used a variety of other materials and tools at their disposal, such as cardboard and clay, typically in building up to the 3D printing of their prototype. Then they returned back for feedback from the seniors before finalizing their designs. And in the interviews, when the students were trying to kind of test out their designs, they probably got more than they bargained for. Seniors typically get right to the point, and they're pretty blunt. So the students were exposed in a more direct form than they're normally used to getting really constructive feedback to help them in improving their design and finalizing it. Some of them even heard things like, oh, this is not going to work. What do I want this for? But they really helped them to test out and see kind of from the viewpoint of the seniors why they would say this would not work for them. But really, this is how you learn best, is by doing, sometimes failing, and then trying again with your learning. So when you hear a kid say, best day ever, what comes to mind? Perhaps a kid that won big at the arcade that day, maybe Chuck E. Cheese. Or one that just spent an awesome day at an amusement park, and maybe not the one on the bottom right there, but most. Maybe best day ever makes you think of the kid who just got the gift of their dreams. But what would you say if I said that we have repeatedly heard best day ever at our one-day HP design challenges? And I was quite surprised by that myself, I must say. We recently introduced these one-day design challenges, which are kind of a mini version of the full Learning Studio challenges that I just went through. We put these students to work, and they found that to be the best day ever. They were actually learning and creating, and then they had to present out to the people attending. They had to present their projects out. Recently, one student said, best day of my life, and I was thinking, wow, best day of his life. But then he said, except for my birthday, which is fair enough. But not only do these students work all day on designing and then reporting out to teachers in attendance, but they had fun doing it. And they thanked us profusely. I can't tell you how many times they thank us so much. And these are students that we've had as young as in 4th grade in these challenges. We can go younger, but we tweak them all the way up to grade 11. And I think that was the oldest that we've had so far. And they thanked us profusely for the opportunity. It's so powerful and shows us how engaged students can be when you give them the right tools, the right technology, with a purpose that's really meaningful to them. So we at HP Canada now partner with districts and schools in helping them to design and implement challenge initiatives. I won't go through all of these, but I just wanted to point out something that happened recently at one of these challenges. We were out west, and students were selected from a program that includes both gifted students and students with learning difficulty. As they worked on this challenge, it was difficult to tell which student was deemed gifted or which had learning difficulties. I couldn't tell. And some of the folks that were leading the learning challenges, who are educators, couldn't tell either. The students were all invested in what they were doing. They were leveraging technology that really helps build equity, and each student played to their strengths. This really shows us firsthand how a meaningful purpose combined with technology can really build equity and accessibility in the classroom itself and among students. It makes students who do have issues and accessibility issues, with the power that technology provides now and the accessibility features, allow them to be equal, so to speak, or have equity within a project and within a classroom with their peers. And that's super powerful. So as you saw, the Learning Studio is a creative, collaborative space where students explore design and fabrication of products or solutions to achieve practical, measurable results. Technology is part of this, but really becomes powerful when you combine it with the right support and approach in helping to build student skills and really global competencies. Also, I just wanted to mention that there's also a research component to the Learning Studio. We're working on additional iteration that includes focus on computational thinking and coding. And as we go along, we're doing the research to make sure that we're maximizing the learning outcomes leveraging technology. What technology works best? What technology is really not making a difference? And what really encourages students to go outside of their comfort zone? So that's an ongoing process. We're also looking at introducing, as new technology becomes available, we're introducing it into the Learning Studio, such as VR and AR, in order to really expand the possibilities of the students when they're working on these projects. Okay, so now I'm going to take a bit of a different direction. I'm not going to speak a whole lot to a lot of the different technology. We do have laptops, desktops, Z workstations, VR backpacks, and a whole slew of printers, both from desktop printers all the way to massive 3D printers. I'm not going to go through all of that, but I do wanted to touch on some of the key Education Edition devices that are really prevalent in schools right now that are built for schools and designed for learning. This is a slide that shows our Education Edition or EE devices that have been announced and the minimum requirements that they meet. We naturally have a lot of products that are focused in the classroom, but again, this is just a piece of what our offering is. There are over 120,000 hours of testing done per product. Not only do the EE devices pass rigorous military spec testing, but HP's actual education-specific tests meant to ensure they withstand really the rigors of the students in the classroom, dropping liquids into them, making sure the keys are pick-proof, and they even test them from a 76-centimeter drop to make sure when they fall off desks that there won't be an issue. The new Provost X360 units will be out shortly and have added features from our current devices, including a 5-megapixel world-facing camera, a heathered resin look, which minimizes fingerprints and cosmetic scratches, and a customizable interactive light with multiple colors. So the Provost X360 EE, the one that is actually going to be out in January, is the world's first rugged convertible with a programmable activity light. Schools can customize the light color to really suit their circumstances. It's a visual communication between the teacher and the student. Teachers can use it when asking the class to answer multiple choice questions or to assign the class into different groups. Shy students or those who need extra support can use a light indicator if they want to ask a question or flag the teacher instead of raising their hand, which they could be apprehensive to do. The light can also flag things that are more logistical, such as when Wi-Fi is on or not, or when the battery power is almost drained. I am so not going to go through all this slide, but just to let you know that the EE Windows devices also come with a multitude of software. The two first ones are super interesting in that you can sign on, have a simple sign-on for all the multitude of softwares that a teacher can use in the classroom. You can actually do it with one sign-on. It saves a ton of time for the teacher and the students in the classroom, and it's really, really valuable. It's no cost. So even if you want to try it out or a teacher wants to try it out, it's 1 year. And again, super simple, comes included, no extra charge. I'm not allowed saying free of charge, so I have to say no extra charge. And the HP Classroom Manager is awesome too because it allows the teacher to really be able to control and orchestrate their class digitally even. So not just, 1, 2, 3, look at me in front of the class. They can do that digitally as well, which is super awesome. We're getting great feedback of that. Actually, one cool stat that I wanted to mention with you, and I just found this out, worldwide, of all the folks that have used SchoolPack, and some districts actually blow away the image that it comes with, or the factory image, so that they can put in their own. They don't, they can actually download it afterwards, that's no problem at all. But I found out that over 80% of those who have tried SchoolPack actually have kept it, and some crazy number, I can't remember, I'm not so amazing with figures, but it's over 75% have tried it, and of those who've tried it, it's something closer to higher 80s in those that have retained it and really find value to the SchoolPack. Which is awesome. I didn't know that that was the case, so I just wanted to mention that. I'm probably running out of time. I just want to mention, I know that there are a couple of folks that are focused on higher education on the webinar today, and I wanted to mention, so I'm not going to go into as detail as I did in the K-12, but I want to mention that we partner with higher education institutions in exploring and researching the use of technology for various purposes. In Canada, we can also help by supporting projects in providing demo units and training as part of the engagement. So not only are we saying, oh, here's what HP has to offer in terms of our devices and what our partners have to offer in CDW and the services and all of that, but we're able to say, let's try it out and see if we can see how it best is used within your space, whether it's a higher ed institution looking at promoting, looking at research within K-12, or looking at using it within their particular departments or faculties. So really, we're currently working on using a VR backpack in a makerspace at a higher ed institution out west, not just for consumption, but creation of content. So not just taking a field trip that's a VR kind of field trip or just using AR, but really, really cool stuff. We're also working on another institution on testing out a new immersive platform for online courses in the future, allowing for a more blended learning experience rather than the asynchronous approach to online courses that we currently see a lot of. We're seeing online courses everywhere. My daughter is taking one now, both in K-12 and higher ed. It's becoming more and more prevalent. And so this solution is not even yet out. We're actually testing it out with one of our customers to see, and get their feedback real time before we finalize its development. And that's something that we're continually doing, and we're doing more of in Canada specifically. So I'm not going to go through all of this slide as well, and I'm almost done. This is my last slide. HP has a goal to enable better learning outcomes for 100 million people by the year 2025. This is our sustainability approach in Canada, and it really shows our commitment. I could go through a slew of different things that we're doing worldwide, but this is giving a snapshot of what we're doing specifically in Canada. We help with different programs to help businesses, workers, students ensure that sustainability is also top of mind and embedded in everything that we do. Is there a question?
I think we're just not advancing on the WebEx, the slide, so.
Okay, so you know what, I'm going to talk to, you're seeing the Campus of the Future slide right now, which is fine. The other slide, we'll send it to you as well afterwards. It just shows a lot of environmental initiatives that we have, including that HP has an HP Life program where higher education institutions and K-12, as well as anybody, can tap into for free. It's courses that are, there's like 27 courses that are available, and over 620,000 people have actually taken these courses around the world, and it's really helped to launch a lot of entrepreneurial initiatives all over the world. And I think I heard that there were 200 countries that have actually participated in taking HP Life. So we give back on an ongoing basis. We partner in campuses with Living Planet for Campus. We work with WWF on that. And really, we even incent our partners. So CDW employees can actually take courses on sustainability, and they actually get incented to do so. So really, a lot of corporate responsibility. I'm going to end off now by just mentioning that in everything that we do, and including sustainability, HP doesn't just talk about this externally. We actually funded some learning studios in refugee camps in Jordan and Lebanon. I believe 3 of them so far, and they're actually adding more. That's one of the videos I'll actually send as well. And I was just telling everyone, there's a few folks in the room here, how I'm taking my son to a build project. He's 13 years old in South America. And HP has actually not only matched the thousands of dollars of fundraising needed to go and to support this, but they're actually providing me with time off to go. So very supportive both internally and externally with our sustainable sustainability initiatives, particularly with a focus on education. So I probably ran over time here, and I apologize for that, but want to thank you so much for your time today, and really welcome you to check out the information and videos that will be sent to you later on by the CDW folks. Jen?
Thank you again for joining us today. We will be distributing information, the videos mentioned, some information about Kinetic GPO. As Melia mentioned, demo units for the HP devices discussed are available through CDW, and you can email us at kineticgpo@cdw.ca. So that's kineticgpo@cdw.ca if you have any questions. Thank you again, and goodbye.